What's up, cheeseheads? Before we get into today's podcast, we wanted to tell you about what Ethan and I have been up to in 2022. Something very exciting. It's a new product that we have launched for employee engagement called the Pool Boys. Tell them what's up.
That's right. So right here, as you can see, the pool boys, what we want to do is create an awesome environment for your office pools. So we're going to come in, we're going to run everything for small business owners, large business owners, basically business owners, where we want to come in, provide an awesome red carpet experience where we up the engagement, up the fun by running your office pools, whether it be March Madness, we got some fun fall offerings, whether it be college football pick'em, NFL pick'em, Survivor, we got you covered no matter what the pool is. We are your boys for it. So let's get going.
That's right. This is an employee engagement play. If you're having any trouble at all with retention or engagement or even internal communication, let the Pool Boys take a look and show you some of the products that we can offer. We shoot customized videos with these handsome fellas and we send them to your team and we talk trash about your people. It's so much fun. I got to tell you.
We build you up too. Don't worry, it's not just trash, but there is a lot of trash.
There is some trash. All right, guys, check us out at www.thepoolboys.net, and we're going to get into the episode now. Welcome back to Fold in the Cheese. It's your boy K Troll on the mic. I'm repping this sweet Derrick Henry jersey, and I got my boy E ready to rock as well. Pat's jersey, go figure. Ethan Gelfand, what's happening, brother?
Nothing much, man. Shout out to our boy Jonah hooking up with these sweet jerseys. I got this last year. Kemper, you jumped on the jersey train this year.
I did.
Great gig.
That is pretty nasty.
I mean, I was gonna say was that the salute to like our armed services one or whatever?
Salute to service, yep. And the first week this week is 9/11, so these are gonna be a hot commodity.
That's very true. Yeah, it's crazy that week one is here. It seems a little bit later. I don't know. I feel like it's usually like the first weekend of September, but it's second, obviously, this year. But I don't know. Is it me?
I think Labor Day was a little bit later. It's always the Thursday after Labor Day, but I think Labor Day was just late this year.
That's a good point.
Just how it fell,
Fair. Fine, NFL in my face.
Fine, NFL. I see how you do it. Well, I always know that because we always schedule our Yahoo draft, which we're going to be talking about today. We always schedule that for the Wednesday before the league starts. And so we had ours last night. Spoiler alert.
We did.
And we're going to talk about it today. It's going to be pretty sick.
Spoiler alert. It was 12 teams this year. Oh, God.
It was pretty wild. It was pretty wild. We have a new challenge we're going to be covering today as well with our friends at Run Your Pool. They've got some sweet pools over there. You got to check them out, runyourpool.com. And then we've got some how it started, how it's going for Ethan on the hot seat today. See how he does.
I get so nervous, man.
For you.
I don't know if it's just because you've been dominating so much, and I missed last week's. It was either on campus or how it started, how's it going? So I'm a little nervous. Not gonna lie, I gotta get back on the horse. It's all right.
I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you.
I'm a point.
And then we have the return. We've already done our Do It bet board, and so I'm excited about that one. But we have the return of the weekly Do It bet.
Do it for the week.
We got to do it bet today, so it's pretty exciting.
Yes.
What would you think before we get into like the actual results of the draft?
Yes.
Which we're gonna skip to in just a few minutes here. But tell me your thoughts on the draft night. We did a Zoom for the draft, which I thought was really cool. It was a great idea. Yeah. If you can't be there in person, which I think is the absolute best for a draft, get a Zoom room going, man. Like get everybody together so you're talking throughout the draft. But how did you think everything went as far as the execution goes?
No, it was good. So we've been doing this league for 15, 20 years now. And for the longest time, it's been 10 teams. And that it's been ingrained in our mind. This is how it's run. This is what's going on. But then some of our buddies reached out, it's like, hey, can we get in? Or it was actually one of our Hova, Josh, he had been in the league previously, but he had to drop out a few years back. But he's like, hey guys, I want to get back in. Is there any way? So we weren't going to kick anybody out. So we reached out to another one of our buddies from school and we bumped it up to 12. And let me tell you, that makes a big difference. But as far as execution wise, yeah, you got to go with the Zoom if you can't be in person. It was just good and fun to kind of see everybody, give people crap while you're doing it. Honestly, we got that idea from doing the live mock draft on the podcast. It was so much fun doing that. So our buddy Drader's like, hey, can we do that again for ours? Like, yeah, man, let's do it. So that was fun. And, yeah, it definitely makes it a lot more interesting when you're talking about giving people crap for picking people way too early as opposed to tickety tap, tap, tap. You suck.
That's true. And I will, speaking of giving people crap, where are my Atlanta folks at? What happened to my ATL crowd?
None of them
the
there.
Guys showed up to the Zoom. It was all the Wake Forest crowd, which was awesome. I mean, that's where this league started, right? But I thought it'd be really cool if you guys got to actually see and meet these guys, right? You don't even know 3 of the guys in the league. You've interacted with them via the league and emails and some shit talking and all that, but it would have been nice to get them in there.
I know Ricky. Ricky's a
We
big
know
time
Ricky very well. That's
FICC
true.
fan. You know, he was on our mock draft, so we know Ricky. Ricky gets a pass.
He's a staple in the Fold and the Cheese podcast.
Hey guys, it's Ricky. Go Gino.
Go Gino.
Go Gino.
So true.
That's it.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I thought it was awesome. It was a good time. My brother was actually here in the room with me, and so I was talking loads of shit to him.
Can we just talk about how your brother does not know how to use a computer or anything like that?
Computer illiterate. I was quite annoyed at, like, he does this though. He sneak attacks. Like, he won't mention the podcast at all for like the entire year, and then he'll come here draft night and be like, "I just binge listened to like 4 of your podcast episodes, and I saw you on your wife did a YouTube video that you were on." He's like, "I'm watching all your stuff." I'm like, What are you doing? Like, what do you do all day that you're just sitting there like, let's see what my shitty little brother's up to?
I like how he types with 2 fingers too. He does type like this, doesn't he?
Yeah. So anyway, he was here. That was actually a lot of fun. He was here. My kegerator was up and working, so we had some fresh blue moons. I cut some orange slices.
Easy on the flexing.
Sick.
Easy.
It's pretty sick.
Oh, I just got my kegerator. Let me just go to my gold-plated toilets. All that stuff is great.
I do have a gold-plated toilet as well.
You probably have 3 bidets as well. Whatever.
I'm out on bidets. I'm out on that.
By the way, do you know bidet sales skyrocketed during COVID? It went up like 1,000%.
I heard that. Yeah, you couldn't get toilet paper. You remember that?
Right. So everyone's like, screw it. Let's get a bidet.
Dude, I remember this is only 2 years ago. It's not like, when I was a kid.
Back in the day.
One of my memories of COVID, though, was like you couldn't get toilet paper or paper towels anywhere. I found some bundle pack on Amazon that had like 3 left in stock, and it was like a mega pack. And I was like, please, can I get it? I don't know when it's going to show up. I don't know if this is real or not.
Arrived.
But I just did it. Okay. And it said it was going to show up in like a month. And I was like, well, I'm like counting rolls. And I'm like, all right, guys, we got to ration out here. I think it'll work.
3 squares per wipe. Yeah. 3 squares.
3 squares. Yeah. And we were a Costco fam. So we always had like, good excess of those kinds of things. But I was like, man, I hope this shows up. Well, it showed up like a week later, which was badass. It showed up on my porch in a cardboard box.
Please tell me someone stole it.
It was like Charmin, and I was like, no, when I saw it on my Nest Cam, I ran home. I like raced home because I think I was still working at the time, like in an office. I raced home and was like, grabbed it, and put it inside. I was like, someone would steal that, man, for real. It's like the hottest commodity at the time.
This is where we are as a society. That Charmin is like gold. You see it on a doorstep. Give me that. Just run.
I mean, it was as valuable as almost anything.
You're not wrong.
In that moment.
Shout out to Amelie Gelfand. So when again, the same toilet paper craze hit, she too kind of went on these like black site websites to go see if she could find toilet paper. I think she ordered it from like a restaurant wholesale club or something. Yeah. So it comes to her house. It's like the single ply in a massive
single ply gigantic rolls that are like this thick, this thin around. Yes.
Yeah, I was like, nah, this is terrible. I was like, yeah. It is.
I've got to go buy one of those San Jamar toilet paper dispensers now to get this thing to fit in here.
Attach it to the wall.
One of the tricks that I found during that, we're talking way too much about toilet paper, but one of the tricks that someone told me about during the pandemic was it was like Office Max or somebody had paper towels or something. And you're like, no one thought to look there because it's an office supply store, but you could get paper towels for days at Office Max. That was my one. I'm giving away my little nugget of info for the next lockdown.
For the next toilet paper run.
That's right.
Max, or paper towel, excuse me. But hey, talk about toilet paper and garbage. Let's talk about some 3 crappy team updates, shall we?
We have 3 crappy team updates in the NFL.
You like that transition?
I'm trying to find some good news for the NFL this week, and ain't a whole lot other than football's back, baby. But Mitch Trubisky officially the starter for the Steelers. That was pretty exciting. Wow. I got to tell you, I went back after our draft last night. My brother and I were going back to previous years to look through. He's like, how many trophies have you got in the last 10 years? All this kind of stuff. We're looking at all this kind of stuff. Well, we went back and looked, and he lost in the championship in like 2018 or something. He started Mitch Trubisky, and he benched Aaron Rodgers. And I was like, what were you thinking?
You deserve to lose that.
You can see their point totals from that year. Yeah. And Mitch Trubisky had 3 games of like 40 plus points. he had a 6-touchdown game. I was like,
Wow.
I don't remember that at all.
I don't remember him ever being confident.
I'd never remember him being good at all. And they weren't rushing. They were passing touchdowns, like 350 yards and 6 touchdowns. It was like a 56-point game or something crazy in our
That is
league.
wild.
Now he'd also had like those 3 games, and the rest of them were total garbage. So it still didn't make sense for Creighton to start him. But it was wild.
Wow.
And he ended up getting like 14 points for Creighton, and Aaron Rodgers got 47 points on his bench.
Well, okay, and I'm not trying to put salt in your wounds here, but wasn't there a year either in the playoffs or the championship for you where you had Aaron Rodgers and Jalen Hurts?
Jalen
Did
Hurts.
you go with Jalen Hurts?
I went with Jalen Hurts. It didn't actually matter. That was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because Hurts was
just
playing the
crazy.
Cowboys, whose defense was awful at the time. And Rodgers was, I forget the situation, but it was snowing in Green Bay, which doesn't affect him. But anyway, I went with Hurts. Like the first series of the game, he threw an 80-yard touchdown. And I was like, yes, great call. And I mean, he literally scored like 3 more points the whole game. And I was so mad. He ended up with like 17, and Rodgers had like 19 or something. It wasn't, it was negligible. And I lost by 20. I mean, I lost by too much.
Fair. But anyway, Mitch Trubisky starting.
He's starting for Pittsburgh. So you might get a 50-point week out of him, is all I'm saying. It's possible.
Pick him up.
It has been done.
Yes.
The Zach Wilson update sounds like he's going to be out for at least 3 weeks, I think is the latest thing, like probably 3 weeks. So it's going to be Joe Flacco.
He's out for life.
Do with that what you will as far as like the receiving options and the running backs. It is a revenge game this week against the Ravens, so look out.
Watch out. Joey Flacco still proving he's elite.
He's got a chip on his shoulder.
Okay, once again,
and the Jags are hell bent on starting.
We're going back to Joe Flacco again. You know, I love referencing Gridiron Heights on Bleacher Report. So this was actually like a few years after the Ravens won the Super Bowl with Flacco, and they had a whole 30-second segment of "Is Joe Flacco elite?" And so it's like at a restaurant, and so it's like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, some other people there, and you just see Joe Flacco at the door. Guys, like, sorry, sir, we don't have you on the list. So it's just, I love it.
Very clearly not elite.
Not elite.
The Jags are hell bent on starting James Robinson week 1. They keep saying he's going to play. I don't. At some point, you have to believe the news. If the team just keeps saying no, seriously, here he goes. He's going on the field.
He tore his Achilles week 16. That's less than a year.
That's like 9 months ago. I mean, it's just insane. There's no way he's going to be effective. He could play because Cam Akers played in the playoffs last year, I guess, but you saw what happened.
Urban probably kicked that Achilles a few times after it was torn too. So, jeez.
That's true. Probably set him back a couple weeks.
Just saying.
That's what he does. He kicks people in the leg.
Great updates, man. These are some great NFL updates.
Yep. I really want to hit with the heavy news today. So now that you got that news, you're prepared for your sit-em, start-em conversations here.
Yes. Although
let's jump into the Yahoo League, man. Let's see what happened.
That's true. But just real quick, James Robinson, it did make me think to try and pick him up late in the draft, just because like, well, shoot, if he might play, it's worth the stash.
He's gonna be garbage. I think he's gonna be garbage all year.
So gross.
Unfortunately.
Let's talk about our league. So we bumped it up to 12. We are now officially 12.
And before anybody gets all salty about bumping it up to 12, because I had several people who were like, let me in if you guys ever grow, which I get and I appreciate and I want you there. But as you said, one of these guys had been in the league before, wanted back in. He gets first right of refusal. And then this started out as a Wake league. This was our Wake team. This is our Wake, like our fraternity league from Wake. So we always want to have as many Wake people in as we can. So that was our first swipe at getting someone new into the league.
Yes.
There are others on the list, though. You'll get the call up at some point.
There's a waiting list. There is a waiting list.
And I'll tell you what, if these Atlanta folks don't show up to the Zoom next year, I might start cutting people. Just saying.
Good. Just buddy list survivor, man.
Andy, Chris, looking at you. Ricky, you're fine.
Ricky, you're fine.
Ricky, you're fine. You're part of the podcast.
You're in the group.
All right. So no surprise, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey 1-2.
Hold on, time out, man. What pick did you have?
I had the 9 pick, and you had the 8 pick. And so right before this, we knew this was going to be fun because we're like, oh, great, we're going to be stealing people's picks the whole time. We're back to back. And I had said previously, like, I like the 8 or the 9, but in a 12-teamer, maybe not as much. I don't know. It still felt like the middle of the draft when it was on the way up, and it felt like the tail end when it was going back the other way. I felt like I was like 30 picks between my next pick, you know?
It was an eternity. And I'm not going to lie, having you obviously right behind or right in front of me did change my strategy a little bit. And honestly, I feel like I passed on some guys. So I'm like, I honestly would feel bad taking this guy because I know it's your guy and I hadn't really been talking him up. So I tried to stay a little more consistent to me. So we'll talk about it. But there are a couple guys I was like, you know what? I shouldn't and I can't because X. So we'll kind
Yeah.
of go through that too.
I
'Cause
also
I know
felt
you did the same. I know
I
you
did do
did
the
the
same.
same.
I returned the favor, but I also felt a little bit of pressure on this draft in particular because it's like our biggest draft. I felt a little bit of pressure to stick to my rankings on this one, and
Yeah. And that's what
probably
I
should
tried
have
to
done
do.
that more elsewhere. But I had my rankings printed out, I was scratching them off. I was like ready to rock, and I made it. I made a pretty interesting pick. I'll just say that fourth round was pretty controversial for me, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. But it was all based on, hey, here's where I got these guys ranked. You know, I want to stick. I
Yeah.
want to stay true to my rankings.
Fair.
So pretty chalky first round. Other than as we all mentioned, Najee Harris didn't go in the first 12, which was a little surprising. We
That
went
was
pretty
odd.
receiver heavy, you know, and I think this league has got 3 starting receivers and a flex, so
Mhm.
you often see receivers go earlier here.
Especially in
But
our
again,
full point PPR.
full
So
PPR. But I think like we talked about this beforehand, a 12 teamer, like you've got to get your running backs, man, because
yeah.
they're going to be gone,
Spoiler
and that
alert.
happens.
I did not. Spoiler.
So of
Spoiler.
course at the 8, I love at the 8 you had Dalvin Cook staring at you and Joe
And Joe
Mixon.
Mixon.
And
I was
just
like,
like, yes, this is exactly where I wanted you because I knew you wouldn't take either one of them.
I know. So honestly, I was like, it's gonna happen. They're both gonna be there. And I'm sticking true to myself. I sticking true to my values, my principles. I vowed to not take Dalvin Cook. And yes, he's staring me in the face. It might come back to bite me in the ass, but I can't do it. I had to quit him just because every time I take him, he gets hurt. And the one time I don't, he's gonna have a great year. So I passed on him. I went with Jamar Chase, which I'm
I
not
love
sad
that pick.
about. I love me some
Yeah.
Jamar. And but I had to pass on Dalvin, and
I gotta tell
I
you,
knew you were going to swoop him up, which is fine. I hope he does good to you. I hope, but he has not to me.
he needs new leadership, and I'm the guy for him. So
Fair.
if you had taken Dalvin, I was pretty strongly leaning towards Jamar as well. I think that was a great pick. And I like we kept saying this. I think there's 3 truly elite receivers this year, and I think Diggs is like on the fringe, maybe 4. But I
Yep.
think there's a cutoff there, and Devontae Adams obviously is elite, but we just don't know how this is going to turn out this year in Vegas. So
New
I would
system, new
say
quarterback.
I like Jamar, Jefferson, and Cup as a 3-person tier, and Diggs
Yep.
is kind of on the outside looking in for me personally. So you took Jamar Chase at 8. I had Dalvin Cook at 9, which I thought was kind of crazy. DeAndre Swift went earlier than expected. He went
He
7.
went very early.
Derrick Henry went 6 to my brother, which was no surprise. So I mean, mostly chalky, but you know he makes up those first 2 rounds just a little bit.
Well, you're talking about Devontae Adams. He made it to 12. He snuck into the first round. When
He
people
did.
like
He
a
did.
Najee Harris didn't. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, at the turn, Andy went Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones. I love Aaron Jones, man. I think he's just going to have a huge year as well. Was really hoping he would fall back to me, but he didn't. And Najee Harris, of course, went right to the next pick. So
Yeah, freaking Aaron.
Towel ends up with Joe Mixon and Najee Harris, which is a pretty nasty combo as well. But when it came back to me, which was the 4th pick in the second round, again, looking at my rankings and all that we've talked about and full point PPR, I went with Alvin Kamara. God, I thought Dalvin Cook and Alvin Kamara is a killer combo.
That is a dirty back-to-back running back pick. So obviously I was the pick right after you, and I was hoping to have Kamara slide to me, but I figured he was not going to get by you. So then I was stuck in the predicament of Saquon Barkley or Leonard Fournette. And honestly, I was going back and forth. And I know I've been higher on Saquon this year just because I think he's going to have a bounce back year. As long as he stays healthy, I think he could be a big surprise. And then the one thing that was kind of concerning me with Leonard Fournette is just kind of reading some reports on him. They said they actually wanted to kind of lighten his load this season because I guess last year he was playing like 87, 83, 81% of the snaps. They said they want to pull that back to about 60, 65. So that was kind of a little alarm for me. I don't know if they just want to keep him fresh or just whatever it is. So
Yeah.
I just,
Ooh, I don't like
that
that.
kind of just, it was just kind of pinging in the back of my brain. So I was like, you know what? I gotta go with my boy Saquon. Just kind of go all in on him. Hope he has that bounce back because if he does, it's gonna pay dividends, and I'm hoping he does.
Yeah, it's gonna be huge, and I think like he also has a pretty safe floor, assuming he's
Yeah,
healthy. He's not gonna
assuming he's healthy.
absolutely crush you. Like he's got 10-point floor, I think. So like you're fine. It's not like it's not like a total wild card.
Exactly.
All right, so you go Saquon, Fournette goes right after you. We have a run on some other receivers here with Mike Evans and Debo, Javonte Williams. Nick Chubb slid to the 10th pick in the second round. That's pretty late for him typically. But again, full PPR. People kind of fade him a little bit. Travis Kelce, first tight end off the board at the end of the second. And then we get back to Drader, who was heartbroken that Travis Kelce went right before.
He was so mad.
He's such a Chiefs fan. He's just like, no. That poor guy was just like all night. He was just like waiting and waiting and waiting because he had the first pick, So he's just like, it's a long way back.
Yeah. I mean, that's what. So you look at his. So he obviously got Jonathan Taylor 1. His second pick is James Conner. Like, you talk about the big gap between picks. Like, that's massive.
That is a big gap. Now, I don't think he should have taken James Conner, but he did.
But he did.
As far as running backs go, I mean, I guess that was a pretty solid pick. I might have doubled up on receiver there, but to the point we made earlier, like, golly, it's going to be a long time before it gets back to you. And then what running backs are going to be left? You're really...
Spoiler alert, stay tuned to my team.
yeah, then you're really guessing. So he does get T. Higgins as his wide receiver 1. I thought that was a good pick. We all thought he'd go Tyreek Hill, but he says he's nervous about him now in Miami. Mark Andrews, 3.3. No surprises there. Pretty heavy wide receiver round in the third round. It came up to you at the 8th slot in the third round. Cortland Sutton went right before you. Is that who you were wanting? I know Keenan Allen went a couple picks
Keenan
before
Allen
you
was
too.
the guy I wanted, and he went 3 picks prior. So I was bummed there. And I was like, okay, I still got Pittman or Sutton. I'd be happy with both of those guys. So Sutton went right before. Obviously, you and I are both high on Cortland this year, but I was totally good with Michael Pittman. Again, me and Matt Ryan. I feel like that's an upgrade from Carson. I think he could be a great combo with Pittman. So I had to take him. But here's where I'm saying my strategy, the fact that you were behind me changed my strategy, because I was looking, Kyle Pitts was there, and I knew you were going to take him round 3. Like, I just knew it, because that's where he's been going, the round 3 and 4, and in a 12-team league, he ain't coming back to you. So in the back of my mind, I was like, take Kyle Pitts. Like, tight ends are going to be a dearth position this year, like depth-wise, in 12 teams. Take him. But the little voice, the little angel on my shoulder said, don't do it, Ethan. You haven't really been that high on him, and Kemper loves him. And so I was like, well, all right, little guy. So again, it's not like you owe me one, Kemper, but because I was super happy to get Pittman. But I'm not going to lie, I did have a twinge to get Pitts, but I was like, you know what? This is Kemp's guy. Let him have it.
Yeah, I certainly appreciate that. And there were big names left on the board that I was really thinking about with my next pick. I just think in a 12-teamer, man, quarterback and tight end, you got to get your guys at those positions. Yeah. Quarterback less so, but tight end for sure. Because man, when the run happens and you're on the wrong end of the draft, it's bad. Yeah. And so yeah.
What were the big names you were thinking of besides Kyle Pitts there? Because you knew you were getting Kyle Pitts in the 3rd.
Well, I was hoping that maybe I'd be able to get him. It depended on where I was drafting from. At the 9 slot, yeah, I knew I was going to have to get him right there.
So who else were you considering?
I knew he wouldn't come back to me. I considered Josh Allen there, honestly, which I'm not usually a quarterback early, but at the end of the 3rd, I thought that was a really good value for Towel. DJ Moore and Mike Williams are both sitting there, pretty high on both of them as well. So those are probably the names I was looking at. But I mean, ultimately, yeah, Kyle Pitts' name was just like absolutely screaming my name.
Must have.
Screaming at me.
Gotta get him.
Biddy wanted me. Pittman, obviously, too. Like, if you'd taken Pitts, I would have gone Pittman. Same thing. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
I ended up getting Kyle Pitts. I was pretty stoked about that. And again, you'll see why, because at the end of the draft, unfortunately for you, you're sitting there without the tight. You're the guy who didn't get the tight end early enough, and he kept getting the guy snaked right in front of you, and you're like, shoot.
Yeah. And literally every time I was going to take a tight end right before my.
Yep.
So I'll just keep waiting. Yeah.
Quarterback will do that too. I got really nervous about quarterback toward the end. So I got lucky, I think, to
especially with auto pick. We did have one person who was doing auto pick, and we were like,
"Oh my god,
I'm gonna take 3 quarterbacks." Crap.
He took because you take best available, and they're not afraid to double up on a quarterback before you fill out your roster. And so like he got 2 elite quarterbacks, and we're just like, oh crap, this makes it even harder.
Oh crap.
All right, so that's the 3rd round. As I said, Josh Allen went at the end of the 3rd. A mix of running backs and receivers there. And it gets back to me, 4th pick in the 4th round. And this is where the controversy started. This is where people were like, whoa. All right. So on the board, we've got Allen Robinson, Juju, Deontay Johnson, Jalen Waddle, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Of course, you thought I was going with Cam Akers or A.J. Dillon because I've been so high on A.J. Dillon. But
Yeah.
as you recall, I've got Dalvin Cook and Alvin Kamara already. I don't have a receiver yet at all.
I don't have a receiver.
And I got to start 3 of them,
Yeah.
at least. So I'm thinking, shoot, in a 12-team league, like the guys that I would normally love to get in like the 8th round, like Rashad Bateman types, they're going to go sooner than that. And I'm not going to have a chance to stack Gabe
Boy,
Davis and Rashad Bateman and Allen Robinson and all that,
boy, did Bateman ever go earlier than that?
So I looked at my rankings. This is where I was talking about. I mean, I checked my rankings. I was sitting there looking at these really good receivers. I had Amon-Ra St. Brown ranked the highest in the PPR, and so I took him. And we'll see. It may completely bite me in the ass. We will see. Part of that was also returning the favor to you about Allen Robinson, knowing that was your guy. It was very tempting to go that route, but you hooked me up. I hooked you back up, and I took my guy anyway. I had him higher ranked anyway, so
Yeah.
everybody wins.
And yeah, I followed Allen Robinson right up. And honestly, if you had taken Allen Robinson, I would have been bummed. But at the same point, honestly, it would have been between Amon-Ra, or I was just potentially thinking David Montgomery, just because I needed that second running back.
Yep.
But I did want another high quality wide receiver. So Amon-Ra would have been in my conversation for my pick. And as I mentioned, a running back. So I don't think you drafted him too high, man. He's going to be a great value, and he's going to be
4th round. I mean, I know it's a 12-teamer, so it's really like kind of like the 5th round, but
still, as you said, you got to look at what's going to be available when you come back. So so we keep going. So then it was a run on wide receivers. Amon-Ra, Allen Robinson, Juju, Jalen Waddle, Deontay Johnson all went in succession, and then your boy Rashad Bateman went at the end of the 4th.
Rashad Bateman at the end of the 4th. I was stunned by that. I mean, I was just like, that's the moment that I realized this round.
Gabe Davis was the second pick of the 5th.
This is the round when I realized the difference between a 10 and 12 teamer. And I was in a 12 teamer the night before, so I knew, but that was like it was a half point PPR. It was on CBS. It was with a bunch of older guys. Like, it's a different story. Yeah. This is the moment in our draft when I was like, whoa, shit's like way different this year. My number 1 receiver is Amon-Ra St. Brown.
My number 1.
And I can't get the guy I thought would be my number 2 because he just went like 6 picks later.
Yeah.
It was wild. So yeah, run on receivers. The running backs too. Cam Akers, AJ Dillon, David Montgomery, all gone in the 4th round here. Yeah. And then it's just receiver crazy. And then the quarterbacks kind of starting to come here too. Justin Herbert at the beginning of the 5th, I thought that was a really good value. I honestly kind of considered him there in the 4th for the same rationale, where you want your quarterback and your tight end this year. I'm glad I didn't, because I did need a receiver there. But yeah, that got wild. That got wild really fast.
Real fast.
So it rolls back to you in the 5th. And
I had to get a running back.
You're still looking at needing a second running back.
Because I now have how many receivers do I have now? I have 3 receivers. So I was good there. So I definitely needed to get a running back. I considered a tight ends, but the 2 guys, or the one guy I was thinking in round 5 had just gone 3 picks earlier, Darren Waller. I thought in the round 5 I would definitely take him, but he went. So I was like, okay. And because, man, I was looking at the running backs, and it was just going to be so bad if I didn't take one. And it's not like I'm super pumped about the guy I did, but I had to. So I ended up getting Chase Edmonds, who is the lead guy in Miami and could do some things. He can catch it out of the backfield, get some touchdowns. Because I'm looking at, I didn't want Breece Hall. I don't know why people are so high on him. He's still not the main man in New York. I mean, the other guys we're looking at are who?
Josh Jacobs. Go down for a while to see, right? Damian Pierce,
Josh Jacobs. I couldn't justify taking these guys in the 5th round. And so Chase is kind of a wild card. Obviously, he was splitting duty in Arizona and was still a great value to have there. So he might be doing a little bit of splitting in Miami, but I had to take him.
I like Chase Edmonds a lot this year. I think that was a great pick. We kind of had to get out of our heads a little bit about, because we think about like our perfect draft episode where we're just like, take Chase Edmonds in the 10th, again, all of that was gone by the time this draft happened, Yep. So you got to adjust to your rankings, of course, the rankings on the site, because there's a psychology to this thing. We talked about this a lot, but it happened with DeAndre Hopkins, and we'll get to him in a little bit. But when that name, there's like, there's 15 or 20 names that are on your draft board
that you can
and
see.
They slowly scroll up. Yeah, they slowly scroll up as a player is taken. And so you see them start scrolling up. If you scroll down below that list, you'll know who's going to be showing up soon. And as soon as they show up, they're fair game. Like everybody, because I think some people have a strategy and they stick to their guns, but a lot of people just kind of take whatever's there. and whatever's there is those 15 to 20 guys on the board. Now, when DeAndre Hopkins' name shows up, it's like, oh yeah,
Like,
I
oh,
forgot
that
about
guy.
him, you know. And so
Yeah.
you kind of got to pick what you can get. So I don't think it was bad to take Chase Edmonds because he wasn't going to be there when he came back around.
Oh, heck no.
So anyway, you go Chase Edmonds. I need another receiver here because I've got 2 running backs, a tight end, and steady Eddie Brandon Cooks. Man, I went with my rankings.
That's a good pick.
DK Metcalf was still on the board, and Hollywood Brown was still on the board here. So again, probably controversial,
and after you got Brandon, those guys went. So
yep.
Once again, another mini run on receiver. So that was a good pick by you. I thought about him, but I was like, I can't. I have 3 receivers. I got to go running back.
Oh, your receiver room is stacked.
Yeah,
absolutely stacked. And you need a running back. So we're kind of in the opposite situation there. So I liked, and this is why I went running back. I like the options at receiver a little bit better in the middle rounds in general. I don't have Jamar Chase or Michael Pittman caliber guys, but I've got a bunch of Allen Robinsons. I think that's kind of how it shook out. So that was okay. So it swings back around. Mahomes goes to the top of the 6th. I mean, I thought that was a great value as well.
That's late.
I thought that was crazy. And then Lamar Jackson went right before me. I was thinking about Lamar there at the 6th. Actually, he went
really
right before me. I was just because I think he's got an appeal to me that I just think he's special. The running is off the charts, obviously, but I think he's elite. And this is the round where we saw a quarterback run as well. And so I was kind of kicking myself a little bit. And this is what made me really nervous. But instead of that, I went also maybe a little controversial, but I went with Chris Godwin here in the 6th. This is one of those names that once it pops up, he's going to be gone. I've just been hearing more and more about him playing earlier in the season than we expected. And
which too is wild. Similar, I know it wasn't Achilles, he was ACL like James Robinson, but his was even later. So it's just, man, it just seems so early to me, but I am not a doctor, so I don't know these things.
Not a doctor. So he can't start for me. I'm not going to start him week 1. Even if he plays, I'm not going to play him week 1. But I just felt like
after the draft, you almost had to start on week 1. Because
I almost did. I had to actually put someone in IR and pick someone up to start. Because I forgot. Yeah, it was a long story. But anyway, yes, I feel really good about when he comes back, pairing him with the team that I already had. I was like, this could be a league winner if I can survive his injury period.
Yeah.
So I went Chris Godwin there. You're back on the clock.
It might have been a little early, but I think, again, as you mentioned, if he comes back 3-4 weeks, cash money right there.
You got to figure you're going to lose 2 or 3 weeks to nearly every player on your team. And unfortunately, I could lose it twice with him, right? I mean, he could come back and get injured again. And so he still has the same likelihood to get injured later as well. But the repaired ACLs don't get re-injured that often. There's math behind that.
Hashtag not a doctor.
That knee will be fine. It would have to be another knee or like a hamstring. There's some soft tissue stuff that happens when you repair the ACL. I know hamstring and quad can get a little messy, but
wow,
I don't know. I think
deep dive on medical.
I know a lot about medicine and muscles. And things.
Maybe a doctor.
Do you see the muscles rippling through this jersey right now? I mean, obviously, I'm very well versed in it. But anyway,
you got Godwin.
Who are you going to take here in the 6th?
This was probably the one pick I was like, ugh. This was probably my reachiest pick of the draft. And again, I needed a running back. My receivers were set. I take that back. My receivers were set. I was thinking about tight end. I was highly considering George Kittle. I had him at the beginning of last year, and he can be great. He too gets hurt every year. And I actually traded him away at the end of last season, and it helped me in that sense. But I was thinking, okay, after Kittle, it gets kind of thin, but I'd be happy with a Hawkinson. I could get Hawkinson in the 7th round, and I'd be perfectly happy with that. So I was like, okay, I'll get Hawk in the 7th. Got to get another running back. I don't want Josh Jacobs, even though we have him in our do it bet. So
you love Josh Jacobs. I'm surprised you didn't take him.
I thought about it, but then I was thinking, all right, here's my reach. Maybe this is going to be a diamond in the rough. Dameon Pierce. I pulled the trigger in the 6th round. Again, just kind of getting.
We don't know, man. Yeah, we don't know. Your team is going to be one of those that we're just like,
right,
a lot of upside
because he's my flex right now. He's my flex. I figured having him as a flex is not a bad play. He's not my RB2. Have him as a flex. That's fine.
I certainly like him as a flex, and he's got the upside for sure. The joke was funny, though. Towel made it immediately. Oh, he's good for 11 carries for 30 yards every day.
I believe he said 8 carries for 30 yards, so that's probably more.
Yeah. The problem's going to be game script with Houston, and but I think they can move the ball. They got Davis Mills Montana.
They got Joe Montana at quarterback.
Yeah, so Kittle goes after you. A couple picks later, Kyler Murray's off the board, and then Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow, and it starts. It kind of gets nasty from there. Hawkinson goes at the end of the round.
Which
You're
I was
upset about
bumming
that.
because I had him queued up. I was like, I'm getting him 7th round. I can survive that. Didn't make it.
Didn't make it. There's a run on the next tier of receivers: Hunter Renfrow, Darnell Mooney, Christian Kirk, Mari Cooper, all those guys. CEH goes in the 7th round. I think we're all kind of nervous about him. And then you're thinking, okay, there's one tight end left that I still feel good about.
Yep. And I was like, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him. And then he gets picked right before me by the guy who doesn't even know his name, which is fine.
Dallas Goedert is
Goedert.
I knew he was the last one in your tier of tight ends that you were really high on, and I was bummed for you when that happened.
I literally I was ready just to hit that draft button, and then he disappears on me. I was like, whoa. So that kind of threw me for a loop, but we're always prepared. So I had my list, I had my guys, and I decided, you know what? Just still got to go depth here, going depth at the running back position. I've been talking about him. I still think he can be solid. Damian Harris with my Patriots. Everyone kind of mocked me. I know. Don't want to put a Belichick running back.
I goaded you into taking this, really. I was like, Ethan, put your money where your mouth is. It's the 7th round. Your guy is right there.
You're right. And I keep saying 7th round. And even in a 12-team league, this is even technically farther down. So
that's true. It's like the 9th round.
You're right. But once again, having you right behind me, I saw who was available at quarterback. And I was also this close to taking your boy.
We're not this close to taking the quarterback.
I swear to God.
You pride yourself every year. I'm the last guy to take a quarterback every year.
I do. But he was, I'm not kidding, in my queue. It wasn't a very realistic. I was like, you're not going to take him, but he's up there just to have him there. Russell Wilson.
That one I would have been mad about because you also have him ranked like 11th at quarterback. And I have him real high. And I would have been like, you dick. You knew. So I was sweating out this whole round because that quarterback run happened last round. And there were still like 3 or 4 teams. There were 3 or 4 teams ahead of me coming back that didn't have quarterbacks yet. And I was like, oh my God, there's no way he's gonna fall to me. And the fantasy gods were shining on me. Russell Wilson sitting there in my lap.
Yep.
Give me that. Yes.
Yes.
I jumped all over. I mean, immediately just like Russell Wilson.
Yeah, there was no hesitation. Ding ding. Ding ding.
So I jump on Russell Wilson there. I've got my quarterback, 7th round. I thought I was so really at that point. I was like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
I'm good.
I've got an elite quarterback. I've got an elite tight end. I've got 2 elite running backs, and my receivers are, I think, good enough. And if I can just get some depth now, I think I'll be fine.
Yep.
Well, the 8th round turns around, and a couple more tight ends go off the board. So if you were thinking about some of these next guys, Dawson Knox, Zach Ertz,
they had Ertz up there and gone. Like, okay,
they gone.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, so I had to bolster my running backs. This is the point when I realized I only had 2 running backs, and I was like, oh, crap. But thankfully, as I've talked about a million times, Kareem Hunt sitting there in the 8th round, and I will just say it till I'm blue in the face. Like, I think you can flex Kareem Hunt all year long as he's healthy.
Yep.
I think he's totally adequate to flex, and he could be an RB2 again. So I grabbed Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
And this is what we talked about earlier for you.
Great pick in the 8th. And so now, kind of similar to your Chris Godwin pick, these guys have kind of been linked as to where they're going in drafts. And I'm surprised. I don't know if it was because Godwin went a little bit earlier than we thought, but I was surprised this guy was still here. Knowing my receiver room, I figured I could put a stash for a little bit. So I took the jump and I went with DeAndre Hopkins just because when he comes back, he's a difference maker. And
yeah, Hopkins,
I could take Dameon Pierce out of my flex.
Allen Robinson.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying Pittman, Chase, DeAndre Hopkins, and flexing Allen Robinson. Man, that's a nasty combo.
Yeah. So I mean, if Dameon Pierce isn't working out, you got my new flex right there. So if I can just survive those first few weeks, then I'm all right.
The one downfall that I realized with Hopkins is that you can't put him in IR because he's suspended. He's not IR. And so I was kind of bummed by that. I drafted him a couple other leagues, and I was like, all right, straight to the IR. I was like, what? Oh, crap.
Dang,
so he just got to sit there.
Yep.
You just got to rot on your bench for 6 weeks.
But then 2 more quarterbacks go off the board, Prescott and Brady. I still don't have one, but as we've talked about in previous episodes, I'm holding on for one guy because I'm like, I know I can get this guy late. He's going late. No one's focusing on him. I can get him. I did start to sweat, though.
Because auto draft is also there too, right?
Because auto draft is messing with me.
What if he gets my guy?
Then we have a couple couple running backs like Tony Pollard going off, Cordarrelle Patterson, interesting little pick. Naheem Hines, end of the 8th. So interesting.
Yep. Yeah, there was a whole runner on these little pass catching running backs. Miles Sanders went in the 9th. That could end up being a great pick. I don't know. I mean,
For that late.
Obviously he gets a lot of hype every year and he never seems to pull through, but he's technically a starting running back in Philly. So
technically, I like the word technically because you still got Kenneth Gainwell, you still got Boston Scott.
Yeah, they got 4 guys. They picked up somebody too, like Matt Breida or somebody. They picked up one of those like holdover guys. It's just another annoying person. It's like another guy. They'll play him. They play all these guys.
So one pick I wanted to talk about that wasn't ours in round 9 was James Cook. He came off the board before a Devin Singletary. What are your thoughts on James? Did you want the Cook brothers? Did you want them both?
I would have loved to have had both Cooks for sure. I could have had some good too many cooks in the kitchen kind of team names.
And you also have Russell Wilson. Let Russell Dalvin Cook.
Let Russ Dalvin Cook. Ooh, I like that.
You're welcome.
I like that. I have a different name, but I do like that. So I don't mind James Cook going in the 9th, but I did take a bit of an issue with him going before Singletary. To your point, I was like, I understand in PPR you want the pass catcher. Number one, we don't know for sure that he's like the pass catching running back there. We think because he profiles as one, and that's what his role is going to be. But Singletary is the starter, and Singletary ended last year. They made him the starter at the end of last year, and he balled out. And I just felt like, I don't know, like Singletary's still on the board. Melvin Gordon's still on the board. Michael Carter's still on the board. I thought it was a little early, but at this point, we kept saying in our Zoom room too, like, take your guys. When you find the guy you want, you got to take it because it's going to be a long time before it comes back to you. So no problem with that.
Last year, think about it too. This was the last year we got like a Deebo Samuel, and so these are the kind of rounds where they could come out of nowhere and be like, "Holy crap, that's
true. That is true." So we had him go. We had a bunch of running backs. These that I mentioned, Michael Carter, Melvin Gordon. I ended up taking Devin Singletary there because we talked about it. We're like, before Singletary, interesting. And I kept mentioning, like, is Singletary still on the board? And I kept scrolling. I was like, oh my God, it's still sitting there. It's the 9th round of a 12-team league. He's a starting running back on the best offense in football. Like, okay, I can put him on my bench at least,
So I was aiming for Melvin Gordon this round just because, again, I just kind of wanted a little bit of running back depth. And we've been talking about him. He's always performing.
He's solid, man.
And so I was like, I would definitely scoop him in the 9th. But once again, literally the pick I was right before me about to take him. And so I saw Singletary. I'm glad you got him. I think that's a good pick, value pick in the 9th. I don't know. I just didn't want it. So I went with the first kind of rookie wide receiver and went with Drake London. So I'm hoping it has some Jamar Chase magic, just like, because that's basically where he was going last year in this kind of round. And it's interesting. I feel like the rookies this year, offensive wise, are not getting much hype or pub. And I don't know if it's just what speaks
not
to
nearly as much.
Yeah.
Not nearly as much. Now, I will say there were 5 rookies taken in this round and 4 rookie receivers were taken this round. Interestingly enough, George Pickens went before the others.
Oh, that's right. I missed Pickens.
I thought Pickens was a great pick in general, and especially if Deontay Johnson is banged up and may not play this week, you could play him immediately. He's starting to catch a lot of buzz, Pickens is. And we talked about him after the draft. This guy's a stud. I watched him at Georgia. He's a stud. There's talk now that maybe they move Claypool into the slot and put Pickens out wide and start him. We'll see. I mean, I think by the end of the season, you could definitely see that. I think originally we all thought he ain't going to play this year. He's going to be like a bit player. I think he's proven he's too good in practice is what it sounds like. And they're thinking now like he might get some play. So that was a good pick by Ricky. You took Drake London, which I also thought was a great pick in the 9th round. Absolutely. He profiles to be the number 1 in Atlanta. He's got some health issues as well, but I think he'll be fine. And you don't have to start him right now anyway. And then Chris Olave and Treylon Burks go at the end of the round. Olave, I really like. I think he could beast out. Of course, I love Treylon Burks being in Tennessee. We'll see what happens there. I don't buy all the asthma hype that he had, like out of shape, all that kind of stuff. Never bought it. Truthfully, it's gonna sound crazy, but the allergies here are insane because we're in like a valley. I swear to God. I really think it had. I bet you anything it had more to do with allergies.
Than Kemper is a doctor. So
I am a doctor. No, the guy's had asthma his whole life, right? Like it's not like all of a sudden it's like, oh, my asthma, I can't play football.
The allergies are bad.
No, but
sound like my grandpa.
Asthma inhaler isn't going to help you with allergies. I'm just telling you, there's more allergens in the air.
In Nashville. Watch out.
Look it up, bro. Look it up. This is a valley. We are in a valley. Whatever.
I like it.
You
Anyway.
suck. All right,
You
so
suck.
you still don't have a tight end, and
I
now
still
Cole Kmet
don't.
goes off the board in the 10th round.
Yep.
Another
When we're
guy that
talking
you
about
like, Cole
Komet
Kmet.
going off the board and I'm in trouble.
You're getting in
Uh,
trouble a little bit here,
but
but in the 10th round, your QB is waiting for you.
my QB, but I was nervous because at this point everyone had a QB, but auto draft has already taken a second, but we're looking at it and it's like, oh crap, auto draft Matt Stafford is technically the next highest available. I really was thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna lose freaking Matt Stafford to a guy with 3 QBs.
I'll
But
tell you what it
luckily,
was. I remember Stafford was actually, I think, second. I
oh,
think
to
he was the
Daryl
second
Henderson.
available. So Daryl Henderson was the top of the list, and Stafford was second. And we were
Yes.
begging Towel, who was picking before auto draft, begging him to take Daryl Henderson and see if auto draft would take Matt Stafford, because we all knew Ethan wanted Stafford, and that would have been amazing if he grabbed his third quarterback. I even
Yes.
was like, as commissioner, I was like, I'll give you whoever you wanted in that round. I'll get him for you if you just take this pick right now, because I just got to. I wanted to see if he would
I
take
just
three
wanted to
quarterbacks.
see what would happen.
I want to see what
So
happens.
yes, Daryl Henderson
But then I
goes.
honestly thought about Stafford too, in part to completely screw you, because that is strategy. Like, strategy would tell me that wouldn't have been a bad pick,
It wouldn't
because
have
that,
been. That would have been
try to
your backup
eliminate the viable
quarterback.
quarterback. You know.
Stafford is your backup. Like that's amazing.
That would have been a solid pick, and I would have known that I would have limited another team from getting a really quality starter. I
Right.
didn't do it to you. I didn't have the heart.
I
And
appreciate
not
it.
only did I not have the heart to do that,
Not only that, who did you pick?
I went back to the boyfriend who beats me, Raheem Mostert. I can't quit him. I don't know why. It's the 10th round. I was like, God, what if I've got this dream scenarios? Like, he still runs really well.
Dude, it's totally worth a flyer. Why not? You know, it's your guy. Why not? So you get him. I finally get my quarterback, get Matty Stafford. Thank God. Because after that, woof.
It went downhill pretty fast.
So then round 11, let's kind of swing back around. I still don't have a tight end. So we're looking at tier 4 or 5 of tight end at this point. I have 2 guys there who I like, and I was able to get one of them. They were both available to me. So I swing back and I get Pat Fryermuth. That was your guy last year.
I think Fryermuth would be really solid for you, honestly. I think he'll be fine.
That's fine. I'm totally fine with him there. It's like, okay, clearly.
Tight end is
Whatever.
deeper than we give it credit for this year because of guys like that. You know, Cole Kmet, Fryermuth, guys that, like, I think will get pretty good volume. Logan Thomas is still floating around too. Like, he could end up doing something this year.
I like your pick next. Double Guns himself.
Double Guns himself. Yeah, I went on Brian Robinson. I still think when he's healthy, and it looks like it's going to be sooner than later, maybe it'll be, week 5 or 6 or something like that. I think he's the best running back they've got in Washington. And I think Antonio Gibson getting the start the first 4 weeks just gives him more opportunity to fumble and lose the job even harder by the time Robinson's back. So it's a stash. We do have an IR slot. So right after the draft, I immediately put him on the IR. No harm, no foul there for me.
Good stash. Round 12. Once again, it's just kind of filling out the rosters, going out for maybe stretch picks, guys who could pan out. You go with Rondale Moore, who, once again, your speedy Purdue guy. I'm sure your brother was cursing you out for that pick.
He was cursing me on that one.
I go DJ Shark, who's now with the Lions. Maybe could find a new life being the number 2 guy after Amon-Ra. So you know what? Why not? Worth a shot.
Yeah, I agree. And I might be able to use Rondale early if he plays this week. I might be able to use him early while I'm waiting on Godwin to come back. And he's got 6 weeks without DeAndre Hopkins, so maybe he produces during that time. Yep. And then the last round here, of course, you went with your boyfriend. I think we all kind of pressured you into taking Matt Ryan here. You take Matt Ryan. And I actually went in and grabbed Michael Gallup, who I thought was kind of a sneaky pick here at the very end. Like, I know he's not probably going to play this week and maybe had a couple weeks, but I think he's primed for a really big season if his health holds out. I think they let Amari Cooper go. I know there's a lot of money involved there, but they let him go in part because they knew Michael Gallup is a real deal. So,
Mr. Impersonation, dude, Jerry Jones. It was good. He gonna play.
Oh God. Hey, Michael, get out there in the field now. We need you playing this week. Get on out there. He's gonna play. No, he's gonna play. He's fine. He's fine. He's gonna play.
Dude, you are the man of many impersonations. I'm actually very impressed. It's pretty good.
I'm the man of many mediocre impersonations.
Whenever you watch people, real quick, Chewy throwback with the arm. There it is. You gotta have the arm.
Right, we gotta move on from this draft. Overall, I felt fine about my team. I'm a little nervous at wide receiver, but I do feel good about it. Yahoo gave me a C because they're a bunch of assholes and they don't know. They wish they could hire someone as smart as us to run their fantasy.
Yes. Overall, I'm pretty okay with it. It's just my running backs. I'm just worried about. You're worried about your wide receiver depth. I'm worried about my running back depth. I love my receiver core. Glad they got my boy Stafford late. Yahoo gave me a B, so they're geniuses. Just saying. But
Whatever.
draft grades don't matter, nor do the projected draft day records. They don't matter. So all happens on the field. And guess what? It starts tonight. Show me
It starts
Stafford
tonight. Let's
Robinson.
go.
Show me Stafford Robinson. Come on.
That's true. That's true, man. Are you stoked about that or what?
I always get nervous on the Thursday night games because, like, if they suck, you just look at the weekend like it doesn't matter.
I know, man. It's such a bad spot going forward.
But if they have a great day, then you're just like super pumped.
I know. I think it'll be somewhere in the middle, actually. I think it's a tough matchup, but I do think they're pumped to play. So
Yes.
they'll be solid, which might be even worse because you're just like, "Ugh, I didn't really tell me anything. Like now I'm still just as nervous.
True.
All right, so let's move on. We've got a new contest we're doing this year. We scrapped DraftKings, which we'll still be doing probably on the side. And I love DraftKings, so keep playing it. But
So
there's a league that I used to do with my father-in-law that was on Bleacher Report. They don't run it anymore, but you could pick one player from each position each week. You can only use them once per year. It's quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, and you'd pick a team, and the team had to win for you to get points. Our friends over at runyourpool.com, which we absolutely love, we use for all of our pools for the pool boys, by the way. Very customizable, great settings. They have a league called NFL Fantasy, which is similar to that old Bleacher Report league that I used to do. There's a few more players. You have to run 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, and a flex. And then you also have to take a kicker and a defense. And defense is scored based like defenses are scored in fantasy, not like if you win, you get points. So it's a little bit different, and it will be tougher because the player pool is going to run out a lot quicker.
Yes.
But we're going to run lineups against each other this year, you and me, mano y mano. So you got to be strategic here. You got to think about matchups. You got to think about saving some of your best players for later, maybe. You got to think about injury history, all that.
I found myself doing way too much of a deep dive into the schedules and like who's playing what team when. I was like, oh god. Then
the trouble is we don't know the matchups. Like you don't know the rankings of the matchups yet either. Like the defenses change during the offseason, and the crappiest defense last year could come back and be better, and all of a sudden it's not a great matchup, you know?
And I don't know what my strategy ended up being. I feel like I could have completely crapped the bed this week 1, but we'll see. I got to learn this format too.
So we will see. I'm going to start. I took Jameis Winston at quarterback this week. I think he's got the Falcons. It should be a good matchup. Yeah, I think it should be a good matchup. It's dome and all that kind of stuff. He's got something to prove. I'm going with Jameis.
I went Danger Russ going against his former team. I think it's just going to be a big statement game for him. New squad. I know it's a little iffy going to Seattle, but
that's a good call, man. That's a good call. That's a really good call. All right, running backs. I took Jonathan Taylor and Elijah Mitchell. And Taylor, it's the matchup with Houston. I think he's going to get a lot of run. Mitchell, it's a matchup with Chicago. I think they're going to run the ball a lot too. And running backs, you always have to think like, go ahead and play them while they're healthy, kind of thing too. You know,
right.
Because like you might as well just go play Dalvin Cook this week because you're like, I know he's starting. He's not healthy yet.
Dang, you're right. This will be the healthiest he'll be. Dang,
McCaffrey and Cook this week.
I went with Alvin Kamara against the Falcons. I mean, I think he's going to get a lot of run. And James Conner against the Chiefs.
Yep. I like both of those. I had Kamara in my flex early, and I switched him out. So I was thinking about him too. But then I didn't want to have him competing with Jameis, and I was hoping there'd be more passing. Not that he doesn't get a lot of passing work, but I didn't want to convolute that too much. Okay, receivers. I went with Keenan Allen and A.J. Brown. I thought they both had pretty good matchups. Heavy hitters, but again, there are more receivers than running backs that you can play with. So, and again, going to use them while they're healthy. So, Keenan and AJ.
So I went with Scary Terry McLaurin and Mike Williams. So Mike Williams obviously playing the Raiders. So I just feel like that.
I think it's gonna be a shootout. That's why I went with Keenan.
Right. And so Terry, once again, it's like the healthiest, and Carson Wentz is still there. I feel like he should be able to do more this year. So
they're playing the Jags as well. It was a good
pick. I figured it was a good matchup. So I figured why not get him out early, show him what you can do. Then it's not like at the end of the season, like, oh God, who should I put? McLaurin still. Oh geez. So it's kind of like getting him out of the way now.
Yeah. Part of it is that too. There's a lot of different psychology between this, and we'll work it out better probably as the season goes along. Yeah. It screwed me because you have to play multiples in each position. If it's just like one running back and one receiver, it's a lot easier.
Way different.
You never have to use crappy players.
With quarterback, I was even looking at a Carson Wentz. Was like, okay, I have to play 18 quarterbacks this year. who are my top 8. It's Carson Wentz,
Yes.
the 18th. So I'm like, ugh.
That's it.
So-
You might scrap matchup because you're like, I don't think this guy is a top 18 guy, period. So I'm just not going to play him all season, and that should be fine. Jameis is probably right around that level for
He's
me.
right
where I'm
around
like,
there. I had him at like
about
15.
as low of a guy as I want to play, but I want to see some games before I start my studs too. I want to see him get into a rhythm a little bit. So we'll see. However, tight end, I'm jumping straight in with Mark Andrews.
You went right in the deep end. I went in the shallow end. Dipped my toe in with Mike Gesicki.
So, I know what I'm going to get here. That's why I'm just like, I just know it's going to be money. And if Bateman's going to be a thing, maybe it takes a couple weeks for it to really start taking off. Sure. It's going to be heavy Mark Andrews. For me, at least that was my thought.
Fair.
And I know that Lamar's healthy. And at flex, I'm going Hollywood Brown. This one was a little bit of a reach, but again, I know I've got 6 weeks of him without DeAndre. They've got to make this make sense because they gave up a lot of draft capital for him. So I'm hoping that he comes out with a bang. Should be a shootout with Kansas City. It's kind of the rationale.
Crazily enough, I did the exact same thing with my flex, which is just wild. I don't know how, considering it can be literally anyone. I do.
Okay. I went Daniel Carlson at kicker. Again, I think it's going to be a lot of points scored in that Vegas Chargers game.
I took the other side. I took the other kicker.
No, you did?
Yeah. Dustin Hopkins, man.
Dustin Hopkins, all right. I drafted Hopkins in one of my leagues. So
I drafted Carlson.
I have Carlson too. Yeah, I hope they both blow it out. And then I went with the Saints defense against the Falcons as they try to figure it out.
So did I.
Yeah. Okay, great. So I got Jameis, Jonathan Taylor, Elijah Mitchell, Keenan Allen, A.J. Brown, Mark Andrews, Hollywood Brown, Daniel Carlson, and the Saints.
I went with Russell Wilson, Alvin Kamara, James Conner, Terry McLaurin, Mike Williams, Hollywood Brown, Mike Gesicki, Dustin Hopkins, and the Saints defense.
Okay. They're going to score this kind of like fantasy, so we'll see how those teams play each other, and we can't use these players again. So that's kind of the fun is you won't see Jonathan Taylor in my lineup ever again. Kind of sad, but whatever.
Wow.
All right, let's move along too. Do you want to give the intro here? This is really good for you.
How it started versus how it's going.
I love that the verses is still in there. How it started versus how it's going. You're in the hot seat, my man. I got some good ones for you today.
Oh God.
Got some good ones for you today. Okay. I have got, and I'll do this the same way you do. I've got an easy, I've got a medium, and I've got a bit harder. Which one do you want first?
Give me the hard right off the bat.
Okay. Hardest one here, I think. We'll see. College, Oklahoma. Drafted, Minnesota. Seattle.
Currently on Seattle?
Currently-ish.
Is he retired like I gave you Frank Gore last time?
I cannot comment on that.
I cannot comment. Drafted at Oklahoma, by Minnesota, finished with Seattle. Man, can you give me a position?
Running back.
Oh, was it AP?
AP.
AP.
It's the exact same thing as Frank Gore. Where you're like, oh, that's right. He did play for Seattle for like 4 games.
for a down. And that was it.
He scored a touchdown.
Did he? That sounds right.
I think he tied Jim Brown's touchdown, like 10th all time in touchdowns or something.
Now he's boxing,
Seattle.
Right? Because now we agreed he was boxing someone.
He's boxing Le'Veon Bell.
Okay. Not Frank Gore.
Not Frank Gore.
Yep. Good time.
Okay.
Though.
Well done. We'll give you half point for having to take the position too. Although he was retired, so I don't know. Maybe that's fair.
I'll take 3/4 point.
3/4 point. Okay. Let's go down to the cupcake here. College, Alabama, drafted. Raiders. Currently. The Browns.
Amari Cooper.
That's right.
Yeah.
Left out Dallas in the middle there.
Yeah, Dallas in the middle. That was a good one because once again, that middle team kind of throws it off.
I know.
So you forget. Honestly, sometimes you forget he was on Oakland.
I know. That's why I said it. And I wasn't going to say Oakland Raiders either because I was going to be like, that would give it away because it would be like years ago, right?
I was thinking of the A's.
Okay. Well done.
Ooh, that's what I should do with Kyler Murray, drafted Oakland A's. Or just say drafted Oakland, currently Arizona.
I almost did that. I actually almost did that with Steve Young for you because he was drafted in the USFL. Drafted Los Angeles, whatever they were. I was like, but then the USFL would tell you how old it was too. I don't know.
True.
Anyway, last one. Drafted from Stanford by Philadelphia, currently Arizona.
Drafted but from Stanford by Philly, currently Arizona. Oh, it's got to be Zach Ertz.
It is Zach Ertz. Well
Okay.
done. That's a little bit. The reason I thought that was easier is because only 2 teams he's played
That's
for.
true. But I mean, once again, like you don't know it's only 2 teams. Like Amari Cooper, like,
Yep.
oh yeah, there was a third. Or Adrian Peterson, 50 teams. Okay,
Stanford probably gave it away, right?
You said what?
The Stanford was kind of the giveaway. There's only so many.
Honestly, I had to convince myself. I was like, okay, Stanford. And I was like, okay, it's not too many skill positions. And so I'm like, okay.
Chris McCaffrey, Andrew Luck.
I just defaulted to the teams of Philly and Arizona. I was like, who? Okay, Zach Ertz. Yeah. Makes sense. It's like John Elway. Stanford, John Elway. Thank you, man.
John Elway. It's just John Elway. Eagles, Cardinals, still John Elway.
Honestly, you said Stanford. That was my first thought. I was like, oh, John Elway. There we go. There we go.
Well done, sir.
No, those were good. I appreciate it. Getting back on the horse feels good. Feels good. So thank you.
2 3/4 points for you.
2 3/4. I will take it.
What do you say we finish it off with a weekly do it bet? Do it. Do it.
Do it.
All right. So I figured this make the most sense because this was our 4th round dilemma here. These were our 4th round picks. We like both these guys.
We do.
We both like both these guys. Amon-Ra, Allen Robinson this week. What do you think?
Totally in. Although, does it matter that Allen Robinson is also on the season do it bet board? I don't think so. It's fair.
Whatever. He's not against Amon-Ra for the season do it bet board.
True.
He's against T. Higgins, which was a terrible pick on your part.
You say that now. Watch out.
All right. So I say this week, Amon-Ra Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Amon-Ra Brown.
Amon-Ra Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown has more fantasy points than Allen Robinson. Do it.
I say Allen Robinson II has more points than Amon-Ra St. Brown. Do it. New car smell. Do it.
Woo. Let's get a whiff of that new car smell.
Let's get a whiff. Open it up.
Man,
wow. Okay.
Wrap it up.
That was a lot of episode here. We went through our whole drafts. You guys can tell us who you think has a better squad. If the Yahoo grades, who you think had the proper grade. But no, it's going to be a great season. Obviously, switching it up to 12 teams. It's going to be fun to watch, see what's going on. A lot will happen. A lot will change. But we're psyched tonight. Thursday night football. Rams, Bills. Let's go.
Let's go.
Robinson, Matty Stafford. That's all I need. Just give me those guys, and we're good. But anyway, man, it's going to be a great week 1. So until we see the rest of the games, keep on folding.
Fold it.